Okay, so what we want to do now, we've got the data. So when we get the data from here, let's just clear that and just refresh. Okay, so we've got our PHP that runs and it returns some data. This is what we get back from it. And we can see that in our application, we've got all of our data here. Okay, so um, that's in the session story. So we put it into there. Now, what we need to be able to do is to display that data in the table. Now, at the moment, the table is in the HTML and it's static. So you can see here, I've got this table section here, and inside the table, I've got a head and I've got a body. Okay, so the table is made up of a head and a body, and then the head is made up of a row. There's a row, one row, and that one row has got all the headers in it, and these each one is a TH. Okay, so that's what the header's made up of, one row, and that's what's inside it. The body is made up of more than one row. So if I collapse these rows here, you should be able to see one row is tr/tr. So there's one row there, there's another row there, there's three rows in it. And that's what we see in the data in table. So we've got heads here, and then we've got columns of data. Now we want to show the data that's coming back from our PHP file. Okay, so we want to be able to show one lot of data would be, instead of first name, last name, email, it should be ISBN, author, cover, publication, publisher, and title. That's what should be there. Okay, that's what I want to see. So I want to create that so it dynamically creates this, and there should be well, there should be 300 records for that, and that's what I wanted to show. So how do we do that? So we've done this before. So I'm going to take this out to leave an empty div. There's my div. It's called all books. I'm going to populate this with in my JavaScript. So with create table here, okay, create table, I'm filling in all books. I'm filling in the HTML with all books with the results of this subroutine, create table. Okay, so if I highlight that, that create table is this subroutine here. It's going to take the response data as data, and then it's going to create this. I've just copied that in there so I can see what I was doing. Now, like I said, we have done this before, so I'm just going to explain what we did. Okay, so in the code here, I've got an array, square brackets, of strings, which are going to be my headers. Okay, so we're going to have ISBN, title, author, publisher, publication, and cover. Those are my headers. Okay, so I'll make sure that's what I'm going to have. Here, I've made my table object. So I said let my table equal the table object. So there's the tag for the table, and I put the slash in there at the end. And then I say I'm adding two classes, table and table striped, because here on this one, here, it says this is a table, and it's got a class. One class is table, and the other one is table striped. So it will give me a striped table. So I've added those two things there. I put a semicolon there just to close that. Then, obviously, I need a head and a body, and that's what we said. We need a head and a body. So there's my head, there's my body. And I also need a header row. So I'm going to make a header row. So remember, that's what we had. We had a head and a body part in the table. So we need to populate the head and we need to populate the body. And then those two things, the head and the body, go inside the table. Okay, so you can see it's all inside. So inside the table, there's a head, there's a slashed head, T body. Inside the head, there's a row. And inside that row, there are three T headers. Now, I don't want three T headers. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want all of these here. So I'm going to loop through this array, and I loop through the array and take each element out of the array like this. I say for header of headers. So headers is the whole list. Header as I'm going through this list, it picks out one at a time. So first it'll be ISBN, then title, then author, then publisher, then publication, then cover. Okay, so in this loop here, there's my loop. It goes from there to there. What I need to do is to make a T head, a TH, and then I need to put the text inside that TH and then add that TH to my header row. So if we look here, I need to make one of these. Inside that, I need to put some text. So here it's got first name, last name, and then I need to take that TH and put it into the row. I want to do this 6 times, but this will do it. However many headers you've got, it will go through all of those headers and it will put the data in, right? So it makes a head here, puts the text inside it, and then it adds the TH to the header row, and it will loop round going through from ISBN, title, author, publisher, publication, and cover. So that creates the top bit. And then once we've got the header row, then we put the header row into the head, and then we put the head into the table. Okay, so we should, by the end of that, we'll have finished. We'll have this. We'll have a table, and we'll just have a T head. We won't have the body yet. So now we need to make the body. So now I'm going to loop through all of the items of data. Now I've got 300 here, and I'm going to use an index to count through them. So I'm going to say I want my index to start at 0 because it's a list, it's an array, and you can see that in here it starts at 0. So the first one is 0. Okay, and the last one should be 299 somewhere here. 299 is the last index. Okay, so that's what I want to do. So I want to start at 0. Index keeps going until while it's less than the length of data. So there should be, the length of data should be 300 elements. So index will go to 299. And each time I go around the loop, I'm going to add 1 to that element, that counter. So we'll start at 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and 4, and keep going while it's less than 300. So in here, I need to make a new row. So this is a new row. Let table row equals tr. And then what I need to do is I need to add the data into there. So here I've got TD, and this is the data for first name. But I want to put the data from my list of elements. Okay, so the way I do that is I have to go through each of the keys. Remember, this is a key value pair. So if we look in here, I'll take this one. It's a key value pair. It's got the ISBN. That's a value. Key is ISBN. Value is that. Author is the key. Data is that, etc. These are the keys. I want to go through each of these, and I want to use that to get the data. Okay, so in my code, that's what I'm doing here. So I'm saying let key, I'm going through every key in this data element. So data index, if index was 0, then I'd be going through each element, each key of the 0th element. So it'll be ISBN, author, cover, public. I'll be going through all of this, and I'll be getting the data from it. Okay, so that's what it's going to do. And then it needs to make a TD. It needs to put the data. So this is my index, and the key will be the key that I'm grabbing. So if it's ISBN, that will grab the ISBN of the 0th element of the data. And then it will get the author of the 0th element of the data. So we'll read from the right-hand side. So that will take the data. So remember that you use the key to access the data. So if we want to get the cover, I use cover. Okay, and then it accesses that, and that's what I do. And then that will fill in the cell, and then once I've filled in the cell, then I will add the cell to the row, and that will go around for all 300 times, and then it will go around for this row, go through all the keys of this 0th element or the first element or the 299th element, and it will add that table row to the body. So once it's got to the end of this loop, it will have gone through 300 and it will make 300 rows. Then I take the body and I add it to the table and I return the table, right? So proof is in the pudding, if you like. So if I refresh that, there we go. So what it's done, it's got the ISBN, the title, the author, the publisher, the publication date, and the cover. So it's done all of that for me, and it's made 300 rows. So we'll have to believe that there are 300 rows there. Okay, now obviously we might not want to see 300 at a time, but we can deal with that. That's a different matter. Okay, now the next thing is I've got a picture here. So the way we show pictures is slightly different. So we need to do that next. Okay, so we need to show the picture of the cover. So we'll do that next.